What if the life you're living isn't really yours? What if every choice you make, every goal you chase, every ounce of happiness you seek is quietly being dictated by someone else's approval? It's an unsettling thought, but here's the harder question. How much of your peace depends on others without you even realizing it? Let's talk about Epicurus, an ancient thinker who had a radical idea. Happiness isn't something you find in the applause of others or the endless chase of what society says you should want. He put it simply: do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. In other words, the peace you're looking for might already be within you, buried under layers of conditioned wants and borrowed expectations. You probably recognize that stubborn feeling of being right, the certainty that your way of seeing the world is the only logical one. Many of us cling to familiar ideas because they feel safe, like a well-worn path. But remember when you realized a childhood belief wasn't quite true. Maybe it was finding out the tooth fairy wasn't real, or that the adults in your life didn't have all the answers. That moment of discomfort was also a moment of freedom. Epicurus would say that's exactly how we grow, by questioning what we've been taught to want, especially when it comes to validation. Think about the last time you posted something online and waited for likes, or the time you dressed a certain way because you knew it would earn approval. These are small moments, but they reveal a deeper pattern. We're wired to seek external validation because somewhere along the way, we learned it meant safety or worth. But here's the catch. That validation never really satisfies. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. The more you get, the more you need. Epicurus saw this clearly. He noticed that people chased wealth, fame, and social status, thinking these things would bring happiness, only to end up more anxious and restless than before. His solution? Turn inward, not in a selfish way, but in a way that asks, what do I truly need to feel at peace? Not what my parents, my friends, or Instagram tells me I should need. This isn't easy, of course. Our brains are built to care what others think. It's how we survived in tribes long ago. But survival isn't the same as thriving. That tension between our instinctive people-pleasing and our deeper awareness that it's empty is where the work begins. You felt it before, that quiet voice after a long day asking, why am I doing this? Who am I really doing it for? Epicurus would tell you to listen to that voice. He'd say the key isn't to reject all social connection. We're human after all, but to stop making it the source of your worth. Real freedom comes when you realize your peace doesn't depend on others' opinions, because their opinions are often just reflections of their own fears and desires. So how do you start untangling this? Begin by noticing. Notice when you're making choices to impress or avoid judgment. Notice when you feel that pang of disappointment because someone didn't react the way you hoped. These moments are clues. They're not failures. They're opportunities to ask, what if I didn't need this approval? What would I do differently? This cracks open a truth we often overlook. Our peace doesn't hinge on others' approval, yet we spend so much energy seeking it anyway. The journey to breaking free from external validation isn't a straight line. It's a natural, three-phase process that unfolds in ways we don't always expect. At first, things seem simple. Then comes the messy middle, where everything feels confusing. Finally, clarity emerges, but only after we've wrestled with the discomfort of change. In the beginning, we see things in black and white. We might think, if I just stop caring what others think, I'll be free. It feels straightforward, like flipping a switch. We tell ourselves we're done with people-pleasing or chasing likes. And for a moment, it works. But life isn't that simple. This initial phase is like standing at the edge of a forest. It looks manageable from the outside, but once we step in, the path isn't so clear. You might be someone who resists change at first, clinging to old habits because they feel safe. Most of us do. We've built our lives around certain expectations, and letting go feels risky, even when we know it's necessary. Then comes the confusing middle. This is where things get tangled. We start questioning ourselves. Why do I still feel hurt when someone ignores me? Or why does criticism sting so much? It's like walking through that forest and realizing the trees look the same in every direction. Epicurus called this the turbulent middle, the phase where challenges reveal what we're really made of. He believed that discomfort isn't a sign we're failing, it's a sign we're growing. The middle is where we learn to distinguish between knee-jerk reactions and thoughtful responses. A knee-jerk reaction is like grabbing a hot pan without thinking. It's automatic, driven by habit or fear. A thoughtful response, though, is like pausing to put on an oven mitt. It's the difference between snapping at someone who offends us and asking ourselves, why did that bother me so much? You may catch yourself pausing before reacting lately. That's not an accident. It's a subtle shift, one that happens when we start paying attention to our patterns. We begin to notice how often we seek validation without even realizing it. Waiting for a text back, fishing for compliments, or dimming our ideas to fit in. These moments are uncomfortable, but they're also where the real work happens. Epicurus saw challenges as teachers, not obstacles. The messy middle is where we learn to sit with uncertainty, to question our automatic impulses, and to slowly, painfully build new ones. Most of us feel uneasy during transitions. It's natural. We're rewiring years of conditioning, and that takes time. But as we move through the middle, something starts to shift. The clarity we thought we had at the beginning returns, but it's deeper now. We see that our peace wasn't hiding in others' approval or disapproval. It was always inside us, waiting to be uncovered. We start to respond instead of react, to choose instead of chase. The forest doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. We notice landmarks, small victories, moments of quiet confidence that tell us we're on the right path. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. We'll still have days when old habits creep back, when a careless comment from someone sends us spiraling. But those moments become fewer, farther between. We start to trust ourselves more, to recognize that our worth isn't up for debate. It's a quiet revolution, one that happens in the ordinary moments, saying no without guilt, speaking up without fear, or simply letting go of the need to explain ourselves. Through this discomfort, we begin to see the cracks in what we once thought was solid ground. It's unsettling, like realizing the map you've been following is missing whole sections. But here's the thing, those gaps are where the light gets in. The moments when we feel lost or uncertain aren't signs of failure. They're invitations to dig deeper, to question the assumptions we've been carrying without even realizing it. And slowly, almost without noticing, we start to find our footing in a new way. At first, it might feel like trying to walk on uneven terrain. Old habits tug at us, and familiar worries whisper that it's easier to just go back to how things were. But something shifts when we keep moving forward anyway. You'll likely find daily decisions coming easier, not because the choices are simpler, but because you're seeing them differently. The weight of should starts to lift, replaced by a quieter, more curious voice asking, what if? Many notice old frustrations don't bother them as much. The coworker who always interrupts, the traffic that used to ruin your morning. Suddenly, they're just part of the landscape, not landmines. It's not that the world has changed, it's that you have. The stories you've been telling yourself about how things have to be begin to unravel, and in their place, something more flexible takes root. You start to recognize how much of your stress came from trying to force life into shapes it was never meant to fit. Together we discover that growth isn't about becoming someone entirely new, but about uncovering who we've been all along beneath the layers of expectation. It's like peeling back the walls of a room you've lived in for years and finding hidden windows you never knew were there. The light floods in, and suddenly the space feels entirely different, even though it's the same room. That's the paradox of this journey. The more we let go of the versions of ourselves we thought we had to be, the more we come home to who we actually are. There's a relief in this, a kind of lightness that's hard to describe until you feel it. It's the sensation of finally exhaling after holding your breath for too long. The Barnum effect, the way we see ourselves in vague, universal descriptions, starts to lose its grip. Instead of nodding along to generic advice, we begin to trust our own instincts. We stop searching for external validation to tell us we're on the right path and start feeling it in our bones. This isn't to say everything becomes easy. Some days, the old patterns will try to pull you back. You might catch yourself slipping into autopilot, reacting the way you always have instead of the way you truly want to. But even those moments become part of the process. Each time you notice, each time you choose something different, you're reinforcing the new path you're creating. And over time, the detours become shorter, the returns to center quicker. What's beautiful is how this shift ripples outward. As we start to live with more intention, the people around us feel it too. Conversations deepen, connections strengthen. Even silence becomes more comfortable because we're no longer filling it with the noise of performance or pretense. We begin to realize how much energy we used to spend trying to manage perceptions, ours and others, and how freeing it is to let that go. Epicurus once offered a key insight about freedom that feels especially resonant here. He said, "True liberty isn't about having endless options or unchecked power, but about releasing the invisible constraints we've accepted as normal. It's like finally taking off shoes that never quite fit and feeling the earth under your bare feet for the first time." That's the sensation we're moving toward. Not some distant, perfect state, but a present, grounded way of being that honors our humanity. Together, we discover that the journey isn't about reaching a destination. It's about waking up to the richness that's always been here, hidden in plain sight. The frustrations that once seemed insurmountable now appear as passing clouds. The decisions that used to paralyze us become opportunities to practice alignment. And the discomfort that started it all, it transforms into a compass, pointing us toward what matters most. This is the work of a lifetime, but it begins with a single step: the choice to show up exactly as you are and trust that it's enough. The rest unfolds from there, not perfectly, but perfectly imperfectly. And in that unfolding, we find the kind of freedom that can't be given or taken away, only remembered, one breath at a time.